Okay, so my name is Robert Weinstein, and I am interviewing Florine Judah. It is, of course, I've forgotten the date. It's it's March 18th, 2014. Florine was in the Navy. She achieved the rank of Personalman Seaman, and she received the Good Conduct Medal. So. Just tell me a little bit about your background, where you grew up.
I grew up in New York City. I grew up in Harlem and Washington Heights.
What was your family life like? Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Julie Richmond High School and Stitt Junior High School.
Did you like it? Like, did you like going to school? Were you a good student?
Yes, going to school was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any major problems in school.
Uh-huh.
And I went into the service in April 1956.
Why did you choose to go into the service?
Well, I thought it would help in traveling, learning to travel. That was one of the reasons. And I didn't travel as much as I expected to, but I did get in some travel.
Mm-hmm. Where did you go to?
Well, from Maryland and boot camp, went to Great Lakes Naval Training Center. And there were different times they might take us somewhere, like to march in a parade, even like to Escanaba, Michigan, stuff like that. And after I had an accident in 1958, I was transferred. I was in a VA hospital while I was on active duty, and then I was transferred to a naval hospital in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So that's where I stayed until I got out of the service in 1960.
Okay, and before you went in, what was your experience with the military? What did you... Yeah, what was your experience? Did you have family members who had gone in? Did you...
No, well, both of my brothers had been in the Army before I went in.
Mm.
That was, as far as relatives. Both of my brothers went in the Army. They each were in about 2 years. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I don't know, I remember some things about World War II. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, I remember we had to turn out the lights, and the wardens would come around, to make sure everybody turned out their lights for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That I remember. So I was living on 100th Street and First Avenue.
What was the neighborhood like back then?
The neighborhoods were quiet compared to what they are today.
Uh-huh.
And family life was different also. People were more concerned or considerate, should I say, of their fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's completely different the way it is today.
What are your best memories of back then?
I think family life, mostly. My grandparents were alive. And I think that's an important way for young people to identify, by having parents and grandparents alive, so that they know who they are or where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess graduating from high school was important too. And I was in the Ground Observer Corps for a while.
What is the Ground Observer Corps?
They had people on certain buildings in the city who looked out for airplanes and reported the planes that were passing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And was that when you were
That was
after you
when-
enlisted? Or?
No, that was after I was out of high school, before I was enlisted.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so you chose the Navy. Why did you choose the Navy versus the Army or the Air Force or the Marines?
Well, I'm not sure that that I made a conscious choice, although I think the Navy was the best place for me. I think it's a good place for women.
Why is that?
I think they cater to them a little more, you know. And like I say, lots of things have changed because women can have children while they're in there now. When I was in there, you couldn't be pregnant. You'd be out in a jiffy.
Mm-hmm.
So now they can have children, and there are families in there now where the husband and wife may both be in the military.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know anyone who got pregnant and who had to leave
Yes.
when you were?
Yes.
A lot of people?
Not a lot so much. I know one person who did get pregnant, and she lost the baby, and they made her stay in. She was being processed to go out, and she had service school, and you had to stay in a certain amount of months after service school. So she got pregnant again soon. Her husband was out. He was a Marine. He was already out of the service. So, you know, they follow certain rules and regulations you got to go by.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Was she happy about that, or was she, like, had she expected to leave and then was forced to go back?
Yes, she had to stay in.
And was she happy about that, or did
Staying in? No.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, because her husband was out already, too. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like, what you expected before you left home to go in?
I'm not sure what I expected because things are different when you get into the situation. The boot camp was, you had to march everywhere you went, whether you were going to lunch, and you usually marched as a group. And we had to go to class every day to learn about the Navy, learn about the ships and different rules and regulations. So we went to class every day.
And what were you learning about? Like, what about the ships were you learning about?
We'd learn the names of the ships, the history of the Navy, and we had to have some background, I guess, to go ahead into being in the Navy.
Mm-hmm. And were you learning how they worked, like the mechanics and how to fix them, how to run them?
No, but women are working in that capacity now in the Navy, where they're in the shipyard.
Okay.
Where they do that work.
And so, what was is boot camp the equivalent of basic training?
Yes, that's basic training.
Okay. So what was that? So what was that experience like for you? Like, were you? I mean, it's pretty physical. It's pretty.
Yes. Well, you have to march everywhere you go, and march in order, and you march to the mess hall. You march to class wherever you go. You know.
Uh-huh.
And we did have some kind of physical therapy, so to speak, or activity, and everything had to be in a certain order.
Uh-huh.
You know, that some people may have a hard time getting used to, but I didn't seem to have any problem with that.
Okay. And were you pretty active before you went in? Like, I imagine you weren't that active, but were you like a pretty active person before you went in?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Used to go roller skating at the roller rink and things like that.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Sports?
Not too much sports, but I used to go to the roller rink and used to go dancing.
Okay.
You know.
And what was the experience during boot camp? What was the experience with the people that you were with? Were you pretty friendly with them? Was there?
Yeah, well, there was a comradeship, you know, because you have to do everything in a certain order and do everything together. We'd have to leave the barracks together or come back together. So there were certain things we had to do and depend on each other.
Give me an example. Give me one example.
Well, everything we had to do, we had to keep our clothes in a certain order. Everybody had to do that. And we had to, our bedding and everything had to be in a certain order. Because they come and inspect what you're doing or what you've done, you know.
And if someone didn't pass inspection, then would everyone, like, did it reflect on the entire
Not necessarily. Those people would have to do it over again,
Okay.
you know.
So is everyone showing, like, if someone's bed wasn't made as well, would they point it out so that
Yes.
the person wouldn't have to do it over?
Yes, there had to be some sort of recognition that we had to help each other.
Okay. And how long did boot camp last?
9 weeks it was.
Okay.
9.
And then what happened after for you? What happened after boot camp?
I went home on leave, and then I went to Great Lakes.
Okay. And what were you assigned to do there? Or what were you assigned to do there?
That was when I went to recruit records. Well, first we had master at arms duty and compartment cleaning. And every enlistment you're supposed to get that duty for either 3 months or 6 months.
Okay.
Each time you re-enlist even, you know.
What is the master at arms duty?
That is security for the barracks.
Okay.
And cleaning the bathrooms and using a buffer to buff the floors and everything, you know. But each person took care of their own cubicle area. But that was the master at arms, and the compartment cleaning was done out of the general, you know, like the general area that everybody uses.
Okay. And describe that space. Like, what is that space like? Are there bunks inside? Are there, or is that just the office space? Like,
No, the cubicles have bunks in them.
Okay.
And then you have like a living room area, and on the other side you have another cubicle area where the cubicles are separated by a wall.
Okay.
And there are usually 2 on each floor, the way they had it then. 2 sides.
Okay.
And then they'd have like a living room area, couches and chairs and whatnot. And,
okay. And so both the cubicles were where the bunks were on either side?
Yes.
And so both, is it platoons, or what are the...
They didn't call them platoons.
What do they call them? The groups that, like, who was staying in the cubicle areas? Were they just people who worked on the base, or were you in...
No, they were all people in the Navy.
Oh, okay.
All Navy women, yeah.
Okay, okay. And then both would just use the... And did the living room area have, like, a television along with the couches, or what was available in that?
There were couches, maybe a table and chairs, and enough space for everyone to sit.
Okay.
You know. And then they had a place another room where they'd have washing machines.
Okay. And after the 3 months of being the what'd you say, this, not the sergeant at arms?
Master at arms and compartment cleaning.
And then you went to...
You were assigned to another duty.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I went to recruit records.
Okay. And had you done that before? Had you done anything like that before?
Like the recruit records?
Yeah, like, I mean, it was... I assume it was office.
It was typing.
Mm-hmm.
We had to type up the new orders for the recruits for their new duty stations.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is that a job you liked?
Yeah, that was fine. I didn't have any problem with that.
Okay. And do you remember the people that you worked with?
Some of them I remember, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What were they like? Were they? I mean, what was the office atmosphere like?
I would say it was a normal situation, like you would. It's not much difference from working in a civilian office, except that you're on duty 24 hours. That's one of the things.
Okay.
That you're on duty 24 hours. And sometimes somebody had to be on duty to, like you'd have to be on duty outside of normal working hours. Somebody had to be there for whoever was coming in from another duty station, whoever was reporting to the base. So that someone would be on duty 24 hours for that.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
so...
So, would your shift be 24 hours? Or,
No,
or,
no.
Or it
No,
would be
that
open
would be
for
an
20
extra 4-hour shift you'd have
Okay.
after normal working hours.
Okay.
hmm
And what were your normal working hours? Like what?
It might be from 8 o'clock to 4. When I went to Recruit Training Command, I had to be there at 7 o'clock. So
Mhm.
it's, you know, depending on where you are and what you had to do.
Okay.
So there I had to be to work at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
hmm
And what? When you weren't working, what were you doing?
You might go out shopping.
Okay. Oh, so
You might go to a movie. The base has movies.
Uh-huh.
They provide movies.
Okay.
You know.
So it wasn't that you did the job and then you had to, like, it was basically like a 9 to 5, like a 9 to 5
except
job.
that there were times that you had to be on duty outside of that time.
Mm-hmm.
And if they wanted you to do something officially, like go march in a parade or something on a Saturday or Sunday, then, you know.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Did you? Which?
Went to Escanaba, Michigan. That's one of the places I went.
Uh-huh.
And then when they would have a change of command ceremonies, when they were changing who the commanding officer was, and then when they had the recruit training command, we usually had to be at that one.
Okay.
So when they had their graduation, the recruit graduations.
Was there ever a time where where there was a like a threat of war or a threat of battle?
No, not during that time. That was peacetime.
Okay. Okay, so that never got to you. And did you have to do follow-up boot camps, or follow-up training? Like,
No, not unless they had a particular job they wanted to train you for.
okay.
Like when they sent me to service school.
Okay. And what was service school?
That was where I went for personnel men service school.
Okay. And what was
So
that?
that was mostly teaching you how they did their secretarial work. It's like secretarial work.
Okay.
How to write a letter, how the form they wanted, and you know, things like that.
Okay. And how long did that last?
I don't remember exactly how many weeks that lasted. It was a few weeks, quite a few weeks.
Okay.
When I went there was during the summer, 1957.
Okay. That was. Okay, so about a year after.
Yes.
Yeah. And.
So if they have a particular job they want you to do, they'll train you for it.
Okay. And were there times when you wanted to do a particular job and put in and requested that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
And on the base, you said that there were movies. You would go shopping. You would do everything you would do in a.
Well, I go off the base to do most of the shopping. They have a PX store where you can shop. But if you wanted, you know, you can go off the base and shop too. It's, you know,
Okay. And you said that you weren't. You said that you were injured
In 1958.
in 1958.
August 1958.
And what happened there?
I was in an accident, a car accident.
Okay. Were you driving?
No, I was a passenger.
Mm-hmm.
I was a passenger, but I was seriously hurt. So I had a fractured hip,
Okay.
a partially paralyzed nerve in my leg. You know, a few other things, but
Were you? What happened? What was the accident?
that I was on my way home from Great Lakes, going on leave, so I didn't make it home.
Were you driving with a friend? Were you?
Yes, two people.
Okay.
Two people. The driver hardly got hurt. Had a bloody nose. I think she had a bloody nose.
Mm-hmm. And were you hit by on the side or?
It's not sure exactly what happened. There was supposed to be a truck that should have been there. Someone said that wasn't there. But the car went through the guardrail and turned around going in the opposite direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was thrown out of the car.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where were you treated? Were you treated at a military hospital?
I went to a civilian hospital for about 10 days, and then I was transferred to a VA hospital.
Okay.
Where they did surgery. Because I had a chipped piece of bone that was cutting into my sciatic nerve.
Uh-huh.
So, and I left that hospital, in a hearse.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, two hearses. The boyfriend I had at the time, he was in a hearse. Both of us were in a hearse separate hearses, going to the VA hospital in Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh.
So when I got there, they operated on me within 2 hours after I got there. Because whatever was happening with the nerve injury was bad.
Okay.
You know. So I was there for about 5 months before I was transferred to a naval hospital.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And during that 5 months, what happened?
I was in a body cast for about 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
from August to November, the first week in November.
Okay.
So,
And then for the last 2 months, were you was there physical therapy? Was there?
I had some physical therapy, yes.
Okay.
I did have physical therapy.
Mm-hmm. And what did that consist of? What was the?
They were giving me an electrical stimulation, something, I don't remember all the names now, but an electrical stimulation because my foot had dropped. And so they were giving me electrical stimulation. And they also gave me a second surgery to make sure whether or not the blood supply in my hip was cut off. So the blood supply seemed to be all right because they didn't want me to put weight on the leg until they knew. So that surgery proved that the blood supply was all right.
Mm-hmm.
So I got out of the body cast, I think, the first week in November. So that was from about August 10th, I don't know, I don't remember the date then. August 10th to about November 10th.
Okay, and this was in 57 or 58?
58.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And after you were transferred out of there.
I went to the Naval Hospital in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. And what was your experience there?
Well, I was there for 3 months before they sent me back to duty because they asked me if I wanted to go back to duty, and I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, when you get off crutches, you can go back to duty. So I was there, I think, maybe 3 months. Was it 3 or 4 months? January. It might have been 4 months. quite remember now if I was still in the hospital. Anyway, it was 8 months or more that I was hospitalized straight.
How was that for you?
I think I was in a good frame of mind most of the time, considering the circumstances. I didn't know what the situation would be in the future, but I think that I think my spirits were up.
Was your family able to visit you?
Yeah, well, the time we had the accident, when they were called, they were there the next morning. My father and mother, and my sister and one of my brothers.
Okay.
So they were there the next morning, and I don't remember how many days they stayed, but they left before I was transferred to the VA hospital.
Okay. And were they able to visit you throughout the process, or were you pretty much...
Yeah, my mother came and visited me, and my cousin and another friend and my sister came and visited me.
And did the people that you were serving with, did they come as well? Like, were there... Did you have...
Well, those were people that were at Great Lakes.
Oh, right,
See.
okay.
And I got a couple letters from some of the people, you know.
And were the do you remember the people who were treating you, like any of the personalities or any of the...
Most of them were pretty nice. And my boyfriend was there for a few months too.
Okay.
But he was sent back to duty sooner.
Where was he situated? Stationed?
He was on a ship. They sent him to the USS Shangri-La.
Okay. And did you ever do time on a ship?
No.
No?
But the women in the Navy have to do that now.
Okay.
Even if they have children,
Uh-huh.
they have to do duty on the ships now.
How long? Do you know? Like...
I think when they first changed the idea of women being able to be pregnant while they were in was in 1974, somewhere around that time.
Okay.
And so they've had to go to sea duty. I don't know if 74 is when they started, but that's when the decision was made that they could remain in the service if they were pregnant.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And whatever, if they have a child, even if it's an infant, they have to go to sea duty when they say to go to sea duty.
Okay. And is sea duty, like, is that a couple of months? Is it...
It can be a couple of months, it can be 6 months.
Okay. Okay. And then when you were walking again, did you go back to the to recruitment, or the recruit records?
No, I was at the Naval Hospital, and I went to another job, information and education office.
Okay.
In Philadelphia. That's where I was.
And what do they do there?
They handle the dependents' ID cards, give out information, just general information that may be needed. Information and education.
To members of the Navy?
Yes.
Okay. And to family members too, or just is it mostly?
Well, they would come for cards, and if there was something else they needed to know or find out, then they'd have to be directed to some particular place.
And when you say that if they would come for cards, what is?
ID cards.
Oh, okay.
They would come for ID cards.
Okay. And so, if you recovered around November '58, where you went to the Naval Hospital around.
Yeah.
So and then you, what happened between the time between that time and the time you left?
Okay, I went to the Naval Hospital, I think it was around either the end of December or beginning of January.
59.
59.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for several months, and I was on crutches. My parents came and picked me up to take me home. I don't know if I was home a week or what, but I did go home, in January.
Okay.
So.
And you said you were released in, or I don't know,
July,
July
1960.
Mm-hmm. So you said earlier that that it wasn't your choice.
What?
That to leave. Like if it was up to you, you would stay.
The thing was that I did want to stay in. I did want to stay in, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And why? But why?
Well,
couldn't you?
Somebody thought I shouldn't be in.
Okay. And was that because of your injury, or was that
because of the injury or whatever? But the Navy Bureau had said I was fit for limited duty, but that person didn't agree.
Okay. Okay. And how did you find out about that? Did someone just tell you? Like, did they just tell you out of nowhere, or did you try to re-enlist and then found that information?
Well, the Bureau sends a letter saying you're fit for limited duty.
Okay. Okay. But then someone said that you weren't fit for limited duty.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And how did you did you receive the letter that said you're fit for limited duty and then receive another letter saying that?
No. They wanted to discharge me. That person thought I should be discharged.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that person won?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what was it like going back into civilian life?
Well, there were a few problems, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few problems.
Like,
I went to the state employment and they didn't want to send me out on a job at all.
Okay.
Which was very unusual, I thought.
Did they say why?
They wanted a doctor's note before they'd send me out, which was very strange.
A doctor's note that said that you could work?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And were you able to get one?
I went other places to work.
Oh, okay. What kind of jobs did you do?
Mostly secretarial.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For what types of companies?
Most of the companies, I'm not going to say what types of companies, I can't think now. Well, what I did is I signed up with an agency, 2 agencies, who would call me and tell me where I could go to work. So that's how I handled it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And did the fact that you've been in the service make a difference to the people that you worked for? Like, did it help you? Did it
It
not?
may have helped in some cases, but
not that you. Okay. And as far as do you remember the person you were before you enlisted versus the person you were after you enlisted?
well, there's, I guess there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was positive and upbeat, more so.
Before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the difference also was that I wasn't as physically able as I was before.
Okay.
That made a difference.
And and mostly that's a cause of or that's because of the accident, like
Yes.
that. Okay. Hmm.
I don't think I ever really gained back my same physical strength.
Mm-hmm.
That was a problem.
Okay. Would it be? That's because of the accident. That's not because of any of the care you received, or because of. That's.
No, I was wearing a brace on my leg when I came out
Okay.
for the dropped foot.
And do you have any impressions of your, when you think back on your time there? What come like? Are you? Yeah. What comes to mind?
Well, as far as the experience in the Navy,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a worthwhile experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me, it's a good experience.
Uh-huh. Talk about that. Talk about that. Why? Talk about why you think it's a good experience.
Well, I was exposed to a different situation than at home. You had to follow rules and regulations. You're exposed to different people also.
Oh, talk about that for a second. What types of people had you never been exposed to?
I wouldn't say I had never been exposed to, because I think I lived in several areas in New York City. So I think I was, there were quite a few different ethnic groups that I had associated with. So that wasn't a problem for me.
Uh-huh.
But you are exposed to people from different areas, different parts of the country, which I think makes a difference.
Uh-huh.
And people always wanted to know the person from New York, because everybody wanted to go to New York all the time. Wanted to know about New York. So it wasn't a problem for me as far as people,
Uh-huh. When you were there places that you wanted to go visit because of the people that you met?
Whether I want to go to their state or something.
Yeah. Or
Well,
their
yeah,
area
I
of the
always
country?
wanted to travel. That wasn't, I always wanted to travel.
Okay. Yeah. But did would you meet someone from an area and they would talk about it and you'd be like, and you'd say to yourself, I have to go there? Or did that ever happen?
Not necessarily. I did meet some of the people civilians who lived in Pennsylvania. And people are from all over. Even if they're in one state, they lived in another state or were born in another state, And I always wanted to go to Hawaii. There were a couple of Hawaiian girls in the boot camp. And I did eventually go, but that was in the 90s.
And did you see them?
No.
Okay.
Only one of them I saw at a convention I went to that was in boot camp. The other one I didn't see. But I did get to Hawaii with a women veterans group, a Navy women's group.
Okay. Did you love it?
Yes, it was very nice there. Very nice there. There were about 300 women that went. And it was very interesting. Very interesting. I liked the climate. And that's someplace I'd like to go back to.
And do you keep in touch with people that you served with?
Some of them you lose track over the years, Some of them, but you lose track over the years.
And are you? This will be my final question.
Okay.
Are you still? So you're still involved with veterans groups and
Yes.
and with military groups. Do you? What is that? what does that give to you?
Well, that may help give some understanding, sometimes of what you've been through. Since I've been coming to the VA hospital for so many years, and the people that I have met here, some of them may have had some of the same problems trying to file for a claim to get benefits. And those are the things we talk about sometimes. And so if you're talking to another veteran, they might understand better what you're going through and what you're dealing with, you know. So
Okay.
that sort of keeps you in touch with whatever the military service was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything I've missed that you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I really appreciate it.
Okay.
And I'm just going to turn this off now.
Okay.
And, yeah.
I wonder how it sounds.